match to bring you. So let's head down to the action. And I can tell you that this was Larry Lee against Andrew Sullano. We've got red-green Scapeshift on your left. Andy Sullano with Elves on the right. You played much of either of these decks?
I played various red-green Scapeshift decks. I've actually never played an Elf deck, so I don't know exactly, but basically they're trying to go wide, and they have also the Devoted Druid, Vizier combo. As you see, usually they splash white for it.
Right. So Larry's opened up by going, Bolt the Bird, as they used to call it. In this case, Bolt the Llanowar Elf. And now Heritage Druid comes down for Andy Sullano, and Larry is just trying to get to the right number of lands to start going Valakut. Here we go with the Windswept Heath.
And Andrew now knows that he might not have known what he's playing against, but now with the Farseek, he knows what he's up against. And Larry in this matchup is kind of interesting. You have that tech choice in red-green Scapeshift. You have like one disruption piece. Normally, people play Bolt, people play Anger, or Chalice. All of them are kind of good against what Andrew's trying to do, but right here, Lightning Bolt, obviously slowing him down is really nice to have.
So that's Lightning Bolt, Anger of the Gods, and Chalice of the Void.
And when you see the Lightning Bolt, generally they don't have Chalice, because that's obviously a not comp.
Non-bow.
Yeah. Haven't said that in a while. It didn't roll off the tongue quite like it should have.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Andrew's looking to probably combo off pretty quick here. I know that I would imagine in this matchup that the red-green Scapeshift deck is favored, just because you have the removal and you have kind of the Elf deck can't really disrupt your land plan. Not to mention you can just win by getting the Valakut and kind of mowing everything down.
Just going, it's the end. So here's an Elvish Archdruid. I saw Andy Sullano yesterday playing, I think it was round 8, and he did the, IPids, we've overrun you completely, as you've got 5 blockers, and I don't care, and you're on 23, but it turns out I've got 12 attackers, they're all +3/+3, trampling over, thanks for playing. So that, we've certainly seen the Elves deck work. I can't remember whether we got that as far as on camera or not, but I was certainly interested to see the Elves deck again in action. But here, we're, relatively deep into the game, and there's not actually a lot on the board.
Yeah, Larry's done a pretty good job of cleaning everything up and going after the important cards, going after the mana. Andrew actually had a Razorverge Thicket there on turn 4. I think his last card is Court of Calling, so we'll see if he can work that into a win somehow. Larry only had 1 ramp spell, so he's kind of can't play a Titan here on turn 4, but it's kind of weird when you play against these decks, because you don't know if they're playing Through the Breach or Scapeshift at the beginning of the match. So Andrew's going to be happy here he's not facing a Through the Breach, because that can be kind of deadly. In general, I actually favor the Scapeshift list, because playing Through the Breach is a bit risky. It gives you those turn 3 kills, but it's a lot worse against discard. For instance, Thoughtseize or Thought Not Seer, when you're trying to go Through the Breach and have Primeval Titan. The Thoughtseize is pretty good against that.
Philosophically, are you a player who, in any given format, any given day, just in general, prefer the consistency over the let's try and find the flashy, like you say, the turn 3 kill here? Are you very much in that let's hit our lands, let's hit what I need to do?
So in general, consistency is always a good plan. It's kind of a weird situation in Modern where it's kind of, I like to call it an unfair flare, where pretty much any deck that I like to play, I want it to do something unfair. I don't like the true fair decks.
Right.
So I definitely see the value in doing something like playing the Through the Breach to be a bit faster. We see a Primeval Titan here.
See, this is a bit unfair.
It's a bit unfair, and we're going to see what Andrew can do, because he's going to shoot down the Elvish Archdruid, and there's going to be a Collected Company, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But anyway, answering your question, I do love to go really unfair, but it really depends on the metagame. If you expect a fast metagame, then it's pretty good. If you're expecting a metagame that can deal with something like Through the Breach with lots of discard and counter magic and stuff, then it's a lot worse. So.
Well, I'm going to stay right here and watch the rest of game number 1, but I'm afraid that our time with Steve Rubin is over, because he's got a tournament to go and win. Steve, thanks so much for being here. I learnt an absolute mountain in the last 15 minutes or so. So thank you so much for being here. I'm sure everyone at home, people in chat said, been great to see you. So thanks so much. I'm going to mute your microphone so now you can clear out. That was Steve Rubin, everyone. Pro Tour champion, of course. And great to have him in the booth. That was Time Walk without the pro. Now it's just me. So let's get through this because we can. There's probably just a couple of minutes left in this one. Then we'll take a quick break, and then the coverage team will be back for live coverage of round number 11 here. And I'm glad we got a chance with Steve to work through those 12 decks that are going to be in the top 4 of Grand Prix Madrid. Sorry we couldn't bring you coverage of both. We just can't get the staff these days. Can't set up 2 complete coverage teams on different sides of the world. We think that one is better and we give you the whole story of one tournament. And this time around, we decided that the individual modern format, which so many of you actually do play week in, week out and on Magic Online, was better than a team format that many of you don't play, certainly very often. So that's why we're here. It is great to be here from Oklahoma City, and we are just settling in for a day of Magic action. I'll tell you what, Rashad, let's speed it up a little bit. Let's just go to double time because I want to get through this game as Andrew Sullano looks to see just how he can pile in. He's counting up his mana here, I'm going to Court of Calling for 3. And so there's Azuri, the Renegade leader. And that is potentially very bad news for Larry Lee, but we'll see. 14-13. Big Babby Bobby says, can we see the half-speed Lantern Mirror match again? It was a third of the speed, but no, not right now. We will just try and get our way through this one. Players are heading for the feature match area, so we're not going to be far away from live Magic once again. Lightning Bolt takes a very timely one from Larry Lee. He's had those lightning bolts at just the right time for him. So Sullano now with his Nettle Sentinel, and he's just going, no, I can't get there. We're not going to show you game 2. That is actually won very, very fast by Andrew Sullano. But I can tell you that Larry Lee won game 3 by virtue of having Prismatic Omen in play and just killing every elf that moved. So Larry Lee went to 9-1. Bring it back to the booth, if you can, Rashad, for me. 9-1 Larry Lee. Andrew Sullano 8-2. So I can tell you that because I'm not wearing any clothes, we can't come back to the booth. So a Naked Rich says goodbye, cheerio, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes for round number 11 from Grand Prix Oklahoma City.